We're dealing with the house of Givenchy today. Gentlemanly, classy, romantic. That's the lane they kind of swim in, and they do it very well. But the fragrance we're going to talk about today is, hold that thought. All right, welcome to the Scent Bubble. I am your host for the afternoon. Without further ado, today from the house of Givenchy, we have Gentleman Only Absolute, brought to you courtesy of my man, Kix Griffey. Greatly appreciate the brother for helping me out with this one. And I really love this house. Haven't put my nose to this one in a while, so I'm happy to do so. Let's get some initial thoughts. To me, I don't really care what anyone else says. Givenchy, to me, has a niche feel. I think it's important when talking about niche to properly define it, as many in FragCom typically have some kind of, I don't know if lopsided it's the right word, maybe bias might be more suited. There's inconsistency in the definition in FragCom, and so I think we tie in a lot of misconceptions in the conversation of it. But typically, as a term, even though it's not necessarily defined this way, I think Givenchy has a niche feel in that it feels much more expensive than it is, in terms of it's priced at a designer affordable level, but it smells more expensive. Bottom line, there's typically a lot of beautiful dimension to the fragrance. It's not just one dimensional. I never get a sense of synthetic with the fragrance or watered downness. Just really robust, well-made, typically high performing in terms of scent trail, projection, longevity, all that. They just cover all the boxes. And I love that they swim kind of in the same category, again, of classy, gentlemanly, and romantic, give or take either one. But they typically dance in that sphere, mostly all of those attributes, but sometimes they might go only classy or only romantic. But either way, they just really check all the boxes and do it very well. And when you add the performance aspect to it, it's really hard to beat them. A lot of times when people swim in the same category, their fragrances smell the same. And granted, there are some elements such as the warm, spicy, iris elements and things like that that kind of seem to flutter along with each rendition. However, they give a valid twist to a fragrance that seems necessary. It doesn't seem super redundant unless you're just not trying to have multiple romantic or multiple gentlemanly fragrances, but most people are. So for that reason, this house just, to me, in my mind, feels niche. Now, initial impressions. I absolutely love this fragrance off first. This is love at first sniff. I get the gentlemanly. I get the classy. It feels very upscale and modern, though. Sometimes when you say gentlemanly and classy, it can feel old school. Not at all. This feels very modern. I get an immediate kind of warm, spicy, floral touch to this fragrance. I don't know if there's iris in here, but it has like a soft purple floral touch to the warm and spicy. Surprisingly, normally in this category, you have kind of a beast mode fragrance, and this does have great projection and sillage, I can tell off the bat, but there's a softness to it. There's a powderiness to it. Kind of the textural spice and powder and floral elements give a kind of parfum, fresher, robust take on this type of DNA, where it feels date night tide, but has a freshness to go even outside of that. Like maybe you're just hanging out with somebody, or nightlife for sure. This would really sing. Let's go ahead and go into the notes. Okay, up top we have that bergamot, and it's there, and it's really there, but man, is the other elements just wrapped around it so heavy that you don't get this bergamot note in the same way that you get it in a lot of your freshy fragrances, where it's just kind of bright and tart and distinct. This has a different identity, a different mold, a different feel. And the distribution is set up so nice so that it's not sticking its head out too much, but it is playing a very solid role. Middle notes, we have cinnamon, nutmeg, and saffron. Kind of that holiday feel, but that bergamot just gives it a fresh, airy lightness that feels less holiday and more just romantic and intimate. I get all of those notes in here, or these accords. And in the base, you have vanilla and sandalwood. They didn't overdo it with the vanilla, which is essential to me in not making this fragrance feel like many other fragrances. This is definitely kind of a 60-40 blend where you have kind of this 40% bergamot and this 60% mostly heart of cinnamon, nutmeg, and saffron with a good amount of vanilla in there for sweetness. But again, there's a lightness, there's a freshness, even though it is a monster performer, I feel. I feel like it's maybe a 7 out of 10 in terms of beast mode. Really good stuff here. I'm just going to go straight to the usual suspects because I can tell this will be a nice, convenient, concise 10-minute review. For me, it's a... Perfect. And it gets a bong. This is an incredible fragrance. For me, 10 out of 10. Is it the most... in terms of its dimension and its complexity and its signature, is it groundbreaking? Not at all. But let's just check some of the boxes here. It's unique. It's classy. It's gentlemanly in a way that still feels ageless, which I think is hard to come by. It's romantic. It has that romantic touch of sweet and spicy. It's minimal on its vanilla, so it makes it more unique as a fragrance because other notes and characteristics can come out of the fragrance. The projection and sillage is there. I imagine you get about at least 4 or 5 feet of projection with this fragrance. The longevity definitely seems 6 to 8 hours, if not more. On Fragrantica here, it definitely says it's long lasting. And man, they've just really knocked it out of the park. I think in the date night and nightlife category, you can really just pick your occasion. It's very nice. I think if you love a fragrance like this, it can even jump into upscale casual. You know, if you're collared out or you're heading to work, it could even be a work fragrance, even though I tend personally to not enjoy sweeter fragrances in the work environment. But because this is freshened up, it's softened up, I think it could rock if that's just your vibe that you like to bring to the office. Definitely if I had like an executive suite or something, I would feel more comfortable rocking this at work. If I was cubicled out or something like that, it wouldn't quite make sense for me. I wouldn't want to be too intrusive with a fragrance like this. Maybe if I worked at a department store like clothing or something like that, I would want to have that kind of identity and character as a salesperson. But yeah, this is just great. Sprays on this, I think at least 4 to 5 will get the job done, but I think I would go up to 6 on this just to really get through the day. Again, seasons, obviously, I think it leans winter, fall, but again, it can absolutely, as long as it's indoors or nighttime, make a case to be spring, summer as well. Alternatives to this, it's hard for me to make alternatives to Givenchy because there are alternatives in the identity of the DNA of the fragrance. However, there's just a certain level of class and dimension to this fragrance that I think a lot of clones would just fall short of. And I've tried a lot of the clones in this kind of date night romantic, warm, spicy, sweet, soft, powdery, vanillic category. And it's hard to come by a fragrance as well-rounded in this. I think in terms of the categories, it'll fall short somewhere. Performance, DNA, quality, things like that. They'll give or take from some of those boxes in a way that falls short of this fragrance. I think it's totally worth the money. This fragrance was released in 2016. Let's see what FragranceNet is selling it for. Let's actually look here. eBay's going for 200. Is this fragrance discontinued? Looks like it might be a discontinued fragrance. Sold out. Interesting. Yeah, so you might not have access to this, but if you can get your hands on this, this is a spectacular fragrance. I've never seen this bottle before, but I know I've put my nose to it. I just haven't seen it in the outlets or anything like that recently. So maybe it is discontinued. But man, what a banger this is. 10 out of 10 for me. There obviously might be 10 out of 10 more signature fragrances that stand out over this, but I think the 10 out of 10 category, there's a spectrum within that as well. But yeah, it just checks all the boxes for me. Let me know in the comment section if you guys have tried this fragrance. Like and comment, share the post if you feel like this would be valuable information for somebody. Turn on that notification bell so you guys stay tuned with everything that's going on. And let me know if you've put your nose to this. I think this is an incredible signature-worthy fragrance for the category of date night and nightlife and classy gentlemen. But again, I do think it's ageless. I think teenagers who have this would have an incredible signature fragrance that is not just date night, but a little more versatile. A lot of times with younger kids, they get such vanillic dominant fragrances. It's really hard to have versatility and range to use that fragrance. And they get old fast because they have pungent notes that are just hard to get away from. They easily become redundant. This fragrance has more swag to it, more dimension. And because of that, it can be enjoyed longer in the use case, in my perspective. So again, this was Givenchy's Gentleman Only Absolute. It was an absolute.
Perfect.
And this is the scent bubble. Hope you guys have a blessed week. And until next time, peace.